What's up, guys? Thanks as always for supporting the show. It would mean a lot to me if you would take a second to scroll down and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any more of our videos. Also, make sure you follow us all over social media so you don't miss any of our content or show announcements. I saw a discussion on Twitter about a hypothetical one-on-one, and I'm curious about your take. Kawhi Leonard versus Kevin Durant. The assumption is, of course, that both are healthy and at their peak. We saw KD drop 50 on the Raptors back in 2019, but Kawhi wasn't consistently guarding him every possession due to his offensive role. So I'm curious how Kawhi's strength and defensive instincts counter KD's length and offensive craftsmanship. Kawhi is still an underrated scorer, while KD is an underrated defender. My question is, how big is the gap between the two? KD on offense versus Kawhi on offense, and vice versa on defense. As a biased Kawhi fan, he's got my vote, but would love to hear your input. This was really interesting because you said hypothetical 1v1. So I do think that Kawhi would beat Kevin Durant in one-on-one. The reason why is Kawhi has such a physical strength advantage. So, like, when he's guarding Kevin, he's going to be able to put his hands on him and really hold him physically in place and force him into extremely difficult over-the-top jump shots. On the flip side, Kawhi, whenever he wants to get to his spot, can just drop his shoulder and hit KD and create the separation he needs to get to his short range shot making, which is going to be reliable with his ability to get separation there. It'd be close, but I could see Kawhi beating Kevin Durant in a strict one-on-one. But I do think Kevin Durant, when he was at his peak, was a better basketball player overall than Kawhi Leonard, because basketball's not one-on-one. I talked about a game when I was doing our greatest peaks video after the Anthony Edwards episode, if you guys remember, just literally on Wednesday. And I talked about Kevin Durant's best game, which was game 3 of the 2018 NBA Finals. And it was like he had 43 points and 13 rebounds and 7 assists. He dominated that game as like a floor general. And there's a level of like running 5-on-5 offense that I think KD was better than Kawhi at. KD at his best as a passer was a substantially better passer than Kawhi ever was. I think KD's ability to play in and out of action is better than Kawhi's ability to play in and out of action. Like, yeah, give me Kawhi post-ups and high post-ups and ISOs, sure. But like KD is a guy that like is legitimately a high volume off of screen shooter and a guy that can play pick and roll at an extremely high level when he was at his peak. And so, yeah, like, sure, Kawhi Leonard could beat KD one-on-one just because he could physically maul him. But in 5-on-5 basketball games, I think KD was the better basketball player. Even looking at defense, like Kawhi's value as an on-ball defender can only be used in one spot. Like KD's value as a rim protector and rebounder when he was because KD was a really solid rebounder when he was at his peak, right? Like, I think the gap between KD and Kawhi defensively is actually pretty small in the team context. Kawhi's a better defender, but KD makes it pretty close with all of his versatility on that end of the floor. And by the way, KD was a pretty good one-on-one defender as well, right? On the offensive end of the floor, 2 elite scorers, KD maybe a touch better at just like physical bully ball one-on-one stuff, but in versatility of scoring and the ability to play, make, and pass at a different action and score off the move out of different action, that to me gives him a pretty substantial gap as an offensive player over Kawhi. 2 more quick ones. How do we contextualize Wemby's lack of playoff experience when it's a huge part of the road to the title? As per your criteria, you want a player from October to June, but we have little idea of what Wemby would look like in that environment. And if his offense is robust enough to handle the intensity in the defense of the playoffs, well, I think he's easily a top 10 regular season player. I have a hard time putting him ahead of players that are slightly worse regular season players like Brunson or Mitchell, but have already shown themselves as elite playoff performers. Great episode, as per usual. Thanks for the breakdown. Thanks for supporting the show. Here's the thing. Yeah, there's some question marks regarding Wemby as an offensive player in the playoffs. There's a version of it where in his first playoff series, he averages 16 points per game on 49% true shooting because he just gets physically mauled and double teamed and he struggles with it. And he's also going to dominate that series on defense. Wemby has an extremely high floor in the playoffs because he's the best defensive player in the world. And we've actually seen this where like guys can actually leverage that up a level, like Giannis being able to all of a sudden be 2 places at once and erase a lob when he's guarding the damn ball and pick and roll. Like there is a level that Wemby's going to be able to get to defensively in the postseason that makes his impact already pretty close to the top guys. And so, yeah, if he can get to even just 20 points per game on 56% true shooting, he's already a top 10 playoff player. And if he can if he gets up to the point where he's scoring effectively in the postseason while being the best defensive player, that's where we're talking about a guy who's a candidate for the best player in the world. And that's where I think he can get in the next couple of years. Last one. Hi, Jason. Love the show. I had a question relating to NBA fans. I can't believe some of the comments I see here. It makes me wonder if people come to podcasts like this to actually enjoy their time or not. Do you ever get discouraged doing rankings like these when no matter how you rank them, people will be upset? So you just get better at it. It's hard to explain. It's honestly, it's encouraging to me because like, obviously the negativity got to me more when I first started doing this. As I always say, like it never stops getting to you. Like every once in a while, like I'll just get in when I'm looking through for a mailbag, I'll just see someone who's just being an asshole. And it's like every time you're like, it just bums you out, right? Because like I'm sitting on the couch, like my dogs are sitting next to me, I'm enjoying a cup of coffee, just working, and then all of a sudden someone just talks some crazy shit, like right to your face, right? Like it's weird. And that part never goes away, but you just get better at it. And like it bothered me a lot early on, but like thankfully, like I'm 3.5 years into doing this for the volume. And even in just 3.5 years, I'm so much better at just like rolling with the punches and not letting that stuff get to me. Again, I've told you guys this before, but the rationalization is pretty simple. Like, why would I get upset about, a dozen trolls under each video and maybe one or two really mean comments when the video has, in the NBA playoffs over 50,000 views on average, right? Like, I'm just not going to get overly worked up about that when it's just a small number of bad actors, when the majority of you guys are just normal dudes like me who love the game, who are coming in for some basketball analysis. I know the feeling. I listen to basketball pods, especially before I did this for a living. Like I most of you guys are just people like me who love basketball and who are good people who are living normal, good lives and are, managing a relationship and maybe raising a family and dealing with your own family, whatever stuff you've got going on. Like we're all just in the grind being normal people. And then there are just these bad actors out there. And like you just have to kind of find a way to compartmentalize them by reminding yourself that there's just so much more normal behavior going on. But again, the truth of the matter is that it never gets not weird. It always is like a little jarring to read someone being an asshole, but you just get better at it. And the fact that I'm doing this well at 3.5 years makes me feel optimistic that, 10 years in, it should be something that bothers me very little. But the truth of the matter is, just like anything else in life, you just get better with reps. Every time you do something, you get a little better at it. And that's kind of more or less what it's like dealing with trolls. All right, guys, that's all I have for today. As always, I sincerely appreciate you guys for supporting me and supporting the show. I hope you guys have an amazing weekend. Next week's going to be a little different. No mailbag next weekend. We're going to do number 4 on Monday, number 3 on Wednesday, and then number 2 and number 1 on Friday. So player rankings packed week. I will see you guys then.